All right. Well, hello, everyone. I am super excited to introduce another Instagram mama. I have Michelle with me here today. Hi there. She is the mama to baby Charlie.
Hi.
Charlie is 6 months old, and it sounds like your family started a virtual assistant business. So I am super excited just to hear all about your story and how this kind of came together. And then we'll hop into some more questions.
Totally. So like you said, Charlie is 6 months old. Backstory is I actually am a hairstylist as well. But when I was pregnant with Charlie, I worked full time, and it was just so hard, to be honest, to be on my feet and be pregnant. And it was just a whole nother experience for us. And then when we had Charlie, I actually went into emergency surgery 4 days after having her.
Mm.
So her birth story is pretty hard. And so she was fully healthy and everything, but it took me a long time to get back to regular life. I mean, couldn't even get out of bed on my own or do anything on my own. And so my husband and I started thinking, what can we do as a team to, work for ourselves at home and be with her, because it's hard for me to be gone all the time. And now that I am, stuck home with quarantine and all that, I'm soaking in all the time with her. And now we've kind of pivoted to the point where we're like, this is something that we would want to do full time, just us at home.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit what virtual assistants do. I know it's gaining popularity, but I don't know if the teens out there have any idea what this career opportunity is at all.
Totally. So virtual assistants, I mean, it's kind of a broad term because a lot of virtual assistance companies can do almost anything for small businesses. We like to kind of specialize in 3 different categories. So we specialize in social media marketing, project management, and recruiting and hiring. And so we kind of have found our little niche, but virtual assistants, I mean, there's data entry and website building and helping coaches come up with all their coaching plans. And it's such a wide thing that, yes, you can do everything, but we kind of found that narrowing it down into these 3 specific categories has actually really helped our business, because it's hard to say you do everything, even though, yes, we can. But for us, we definitely like to kind of stay where we're passionate.
Well, I think that's really smart. And as I've been learning about all of these different industries with all these amazing moms, I find that getting a niche is the way to go in any industry, especially in like the cosmetology industry too. I've interviewed a couple gals in that industry, and they've really flourished if they kind of narrow in on a niche, and then that way they can just get
So
those
I've done that
clientele.
as well.
That's wonderful. So what
Yeah, I
type?
definitely I narrowed my oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay here in this recording for some reason, so I apologize for that. But I was just going to ask, what kind of education would you recommend for teens looking into this industry? Is there a certain college education that you need, or is this something that you can just find someone out there that can train you and teach you? What would you recommend in that category?
Totally. Obviously, yes, you could get, your business background with a college degree. However, that's not the way that we've done it. I personally would recommend finding somebody in the industry that you could, they could mentor you. We have found a bunch of virtual assistants and, digital marketing agencies and that kind of thing, where we can take their courses and learn from them and all of that kind of stuff. I think going with somebody that can mentor you is going to put the experience behind it as well, versus just, being in school, because it's not necessary. You don't have to have a degree to do this, or you don't have to have a specific training. You could even learn on your own if you really wanted to, but I definitely think finding somebody that could mentor you would definitely be the way to go.
So how would you recommend that? If there's a teen out there that's thinking, you know what, this could be a great possibility for me after high school, you know, as I transition into being a mom, give me the flexibility I'm looking for. Where would they even go to try and find these mentors, or even try to find some online educators that they can pay to receive that training?
Totally. Well, for instance, we have a family member in our family who is in high school, and he is trying to figure out, you know, what kind of specialty and what kind of skill he wants to learn. And so we've kind of taken him under our wing, and he wants to do video editing. And
Mm-hmm.
so the thing is with that is that you kind of trade off for the experience instead of, you know, instead of getting paid for it, you know what I mean? So he's taking our videos and just kind of playing with them and doing video and stuff. So for him as a family member, that's awesome. But going through Instagram and just finding, you know, even typing in like virtual assistants or that kind of stuff, even just kind of getting yourself out there and just messaging people and just introducing yourself. And because a lot of times virtual assistants would love a second hand, um, and to help people because it helps them too. Because sometimes we have so much work that it definitely would help to have a second hand on to help with.
Yeah, that's great advice. And it sounds like the sky could be really the limit in this industry, because there's so many different little niches and areas that businesses need help with. And so it's just finding your little talent and specialty and where you flourish and where you're kind of passionate, and kind of, you can just almost take it from there, it sounds like.
Well, and you don't, sometimes you don't know you're passionate about something without trying it too. So for me, like I didn't really realize that I loved social media as much as I did until I started building my hair business through social media. And I started making these relationships with all these women, not even in my own city. And it's kind of your own little tribe. And so it's fun to connect with people all day. I mean, I could do that every day.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about the investment or the credentials necessary to start your own virtual assisting business. Do you need a tax ID? Um, is it a fairly minimal startup fee to get going? What are your thoughts there?
So that's actually the best part about this business is there's not this huge overhead. We've actually owned other businesses before, some brick and mortars where you get into it and it's overwhelming with the cost of things, and you kind of lose the passion behind it when you have all these costs. And that's the best thing about being a virtual assistant is your overhead is, yes, there's some softwares that we recommend definitely kind of investing in, and it'll help your business run smoothly. However, it is not, it's optional. You don't have to. Especially there's apps out there that you can use that don't cost anything. And as far as, you know, what you need to have, we definitely recommend, you know, getting your own website and paying for your licensing through your state. But that was, I think, $100. And so once you have that down and you have your website and you can kind of learn how to build your website and that kind of stuff, I think your investment with a virtual assistant is much, much lower than owning a brick and mortar or anything like that.
Well, that's super exciting. That's the best news ever, right? So how do you market yourself? Are you strictly
Seriously.
using social media as like Instagram as a platform for your business today?
So totally. We obviously, yes, we love all the social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. So we try to use all of our social media platforms. However, with the quarantine, yes, we have to use all these platforms and we can't do any networking. But my husband actually, without quarantine, when we're back to normal life, we have joined like the chamber and things like that, where there's networking groups that we definitely recommend going to, because you really get yourself out there in your city. That way people know what you do and know who you are. So when you're on Instagram and you're talking to all these businesses, they can see that familiar face.
So do you think that there's one platform that has been a little more successful for you than another? Like, I know that Instagram is really popular for the younger generation, and obviously TikTok too. Do you find that more of the people that need your services are on Facebook, or what would you say?
To be honest, yes, which is so different than the hair industry. I built my industry or my clientele through Instagram because it is the younger generation and you can search easily through that. But with this, I actually find that Facebook is so much bigger of a market that I never thought would have been. There are so many people on Facebook in networking groups and marketing groups and people just saying, hey, do you know anybody that can help me with my website? Or we've gotten a lot of business just through Facebook.
Perfect. So I know, well, you're a young mom and you have just a baby, and that for me, that was the hardest time as a mom for me. It's just a transition, a life transition for sure. So how has it been for you juggling being a mama, having a business? I'm sure it helps having your husband involved in the process. Has it been overwhelming? When do you have time to actually do the business?
So that's a great question. I do have to say I am very, very fortunate to have a partner that not only are we in business together, but we also raise our baby together.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been together for 8 years, something like that. And so we definitely, we communicate well, where if he needs a minute, we can talk about that. Or if I need to, like, hey, can you watch her? I got to go get A, B, and C done in the office. And so we kind of switch off that way a lot. But we find that when we schedule our days out through, we use a Schedule app. And so we schedule out our days and through Google Calendar and stuff. And we try to stick to that as much as we can. Obviously things happen, but Charlie, actually, we've been having a schedule with her. So her naps are all scheduled. Her feedings are all scheduled. So if we can get that down and then add in what we need to do afterwards, I think that works the most, because at the end of the day, raising her is our first priority. And as long as we are making her happy, and even if it's just her sitting on the floor and playing with some toys, and I can kind of play with one hand and do engagement on the other, it's days aren't always perfect. Sometimes in the middle of the day, it's kind of like, hey, let's go for a walk. Let's get out of the house for a second. We have 2 really large bloodhounds as well. And so we're like, let's go to the park or just get some fresh air. And I think that really helps not feel like you're just at home all day, especially during quarantine when we can't go to a coffee shop or, go see anybody. So I think definitely scheduling out our day is been working so far.
That's super smart. And I love how organized that approach is. And that's a really great way to make it work as a family and with a little one. So that's amazing, because I know that is the biggest fear for a lot of future moms, is like, how do I even make this all work? So that was a great tip. Thank you so much. So how much time?
Totally. Yeah, you're welcome.
How much time do you feel like it realistically takes for a business like this to get up and rolling to where you're seeing some actual income coming back?
Totally. For us, we have definitely invested probably more than what you don't, like I said, you don't need to invest a lot into this business. But with marketing ads and ads through Facebook and stuff like that, we've chosen to put that in there. And so I feel like we've grown quickly that way. But to be honest, it's kind of varies through everybody, and it depends on how much work that you put into it as well. My husband, he, this is his office. I kind of work all the way around my house. I don't have a specific office because I'm usually with Charlie. And so he's in here a lot of the time. And I do find that because he is so good about like, nope, it's, it's Monday through Friday. I gotta be working and stuff instead of doing stuff that, we'd rather do. I think we've grown that way. So you got to be really disciplined, especially working from home. I mean, there's so many distractions. There's laundry, there's food to eat. There's so many things that can distract you. So I think really we've grown pretty quickly just by being determined and just kind of putting the work in, because without putting the work in, you're not going to see quick results. But because we invested more into the business, it took, a little bit longer to start seeing a profit on that. However, if you're only paying for a couple softwares, you're going to see a profit almost instantly when your clients start paying you. But time is money. So it's your time. So how much time are you going to put into that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I like that. That's really, really great advice. So, almost guaranteed there's some like-minded teens out there who are really connecting with this interview, what you're saying. How do they know that this is the right fit for them, if this should be the path that they pursue? Do you have any recommendations for them?
Totally. Honestly, my biggest advice is to not put yourself in a box and to really explore all options. Because you could think that social media is something that you want to do, and then maybe you start practicing with your own your own social media page, whether it's Instagram or whatever, and you're like, oh, I hate the engagement, or I hate doing this. It's kind of like, okay, well, what did you like about it? And then kind of work off that. So for me, I loved social media just because I saw the engagement back, and I saw the relationships I made, and I was like, how could I mean, this is so much fun. And I've met friends that have kids the same age and that kind of thing. So that's how I knew that I liked that. However, my husband, he does more of the project management stuff. Mm-hmm. So he loves to just get in the office, sit in front of the computer and just, zone out and go to town on new softwares and all the fun stuff. And so I think just honestly, just practicing and just experiencing different stuff, maybe make a new social media account and start engaging with people and kind of figure out if you're getting the engagement back and people like what you're doing and you start getting followers. And so I would definitely try all different because there's no guarantee that you're going to like the first thing that you try.
For sure. Do you think there's ever a time that it's too soon to get started? I mean, I'm thinking these teens should just jump on and see what they can make happen.
I wish I would have started years ago, to be honest. So I think that the moment you start getting that mindset, it's kind of like just run with it, because you're young, and if you're starting this before kids, you can get your business really up and running to the point where you can watch your baby and you can take care of a baby when you are ready. So for me, I wish I would have started way sooner, because it was really hard for me to get out of maternity and be like, okay, I guess I'm going back to work, but I didn't want to do that because I love my baby and I love to be with her, and it's so hard. So I definitely think the moment you start thinking that way, just jump on it. Just get going. There is no age limit.
I love that. So what are the hardest and most rewarding parts of your job right now?
I would say the hardest part is I feel like I'm always multitasking, which I've been pretty good at with doing hair and stuff like that, multitasking. However, when your baby doesn't know how to talk back to you or you can't figure out what's wrong, I think getting on that one track mind, it's so hard to get something done when you know that she's upset and you're trying to figure out why she's upset, but yet you're also trying to get this done and you have all these things. And so I think the whole time management has been, it has not been easy. Let's put it that way. That's a whole new training. But I think the most rewarding part is being with her. She is like mom's girl. She loves her dad. She loves her dogs. And I think just watching her grow up and being there for all of those is really cool. Really, really cool.
That's wonderful. So when do you have the time during the day to do the bulk of what you do for this company? Is it, how many hours do you say you put in? Kind of give us a feel for what like an average day would look like for you.
So the average day for me, so she takes 3 naps right now a day on her schedule, and her naps are about an hour. So I'll work during those naps. I'll go into a quiet room with my monitor and just get as much done during those times. But the bulk of my work is when she goes to bed. So she goes to bed around anywhere between 7 and 7:30. And she sleeps 12 hours by herself in her crib, which is like the best thing ever. So at 7:30, I get most of my work done. I just put on some music, pour myself a glass of wine, and I just get my content and all that done. But like I said, throughout the day, during her naps, but I don't try to be super mom by any means. When she's not napping, I know that most of the time I'm not going to get a lot done. So, because I don't want to ignore her either, because she's at the point where she wants to play with toys and she's sitting up on her own and she's looking at you and crying when you're not there. And so I think that's the best thing, is that I try to engage with her when she's awake. And then when she's asleep, it's go time, the moment she's down, it's get right to the computer.
Yeah, that's great. And I think we may need to like call you the baby whisperer or something to get your baby to sleep so well through the night and to get her on a schedule. You need to start teaching people how to do this, girl.
Thank you.
So do you ever see yourself going back to being a hairstylist? I know there's a lot of moms that do that out of their home. Is that something that you've ever thought of or ever considered? Or do you feel like virtual assisting is like that's what you want to do the rest of your life?
Totally. So I still continue to do hair. I have a suite that is about 30 minutes from my house. And so I still do that a couple days a week. But our goal here, we make quarterly goals and monthly goals and things like that. And so our goal is to get busy enough to where I am full-time home, because we do want to have another baby, when she's getting close to 2 years old. And so I know for a fact at that point, I don't want to work like I did with her when I was pregnant, and I don't want to go back to that. And so right now I think, I'm doing both, which it's crazy because I'm cooking, cleaning, laundry, baby, working 2 jobs, and it's crazy. But yes, my ultimate goal would be to do this full time and to be home, full time.
Yeah, I love that. So any final words of advice for teens before we wrap up today?
I think my only advice would be to, like I said earlier, just don't put yourself in a box and just try new stuff and don't get frustrated. I would be lying if I said every day I have this huge smile on my face and I'm not crying, or there's times where she doesn't sleep and I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this engagement and I have to do this, and how am I going to do it all? But don't get frustrated. Just roll with it. there's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days, and you just kind of have to accept that, to be honest, especially with starting your own business. It's never going to be perfect. And when something you think is great, it can be greater. So just being patient, I think.
I think that's perfect advice. And I think that you just never know what's going to happen, and you just have to move forward. And it's always better than a 9 to 5 and just being torn away all the time. And so I feel like you've provided some really good strategic tips and planning ideas that are really, really helpful. Really appreciate that. So happy for your family, and so happy to support you guys via Instagram and cheer from you
Thank you.
on the sidelines. Thank you so much for taking some time for us today, and we will wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone.